So you want to create pagination in your Vuejs app, whereby when you click on a button like this, it goes to the next page, which is page 2, and it loads the data like this. And you can go back to the previous page, you can go to the next page, and the page after, and the page after, and the page after. You can go to the last page until there's no more page to go. And you want to add this in, you want to implement this in the Vue app. So how do you do this? Well, that's what we're going to be looking at in this video. To get started, I've created a component for me to fetch my data and display it to the user, but that doesn't really change anything about the functionality. So the first thing we want to do is we want to get the route, which is, let's just do const route. Now that we've gotten the route, what do we do with the route? Well, we want to know which page we're on. So what we do is we do const page equals computed. We're going to be using computed and not ref, and that is because we want to be able to get whether our page has a query or not. And it is best done with computed because computed is optimized for complex calculations like this in Vue.js. So what we want to do is we want to check if our page has a query and get that query. If it doesn't have, we want to just return 1. So to make sure it is number, we're going to be using the number function, and we're going to do route query page or 1. With this, we are able to get the current page we're on, so the current query that we're on, or we can just use 1. We'll be using this later on to fetch our data. So what we want to do next is we want to calculate the total pages that we have. For me, I know the amount of data that I have, so I won't be getting that from a database for me to figure that out. So I'll just do total pages equals computed. So for me, my total page is 53. So for 53, I want to have a limit of 10. So I only display 10. I only fetch 10 stuff per query. So all I have to do is just divide 53 by 10. But if we divide 53 by 10, we're not going to be getting the correct figure. So we need to use a math function called ceil. So all we just have to do is do math.ceil 53 divided by 10. So now that we have that out of the way, the next thing we want to do is create a function to go to the next page. So we're going to do const next page. This is also going to be a computer function equals computed. But for this one, I'm going to be having to create if statement. So if page dot value, if our page dot value is less than total pages dot value, we want to return our page dot value plus 1. Else we just want to return total pages dot value. So you can have other stuff for the else statement, but this is what I'll be going with for now. So for the previous page, it's very simple. So we just do const previous page equals also a computed. computed. And we're also going to be having if statements as well. If statement. So if page.value is greater than 1, so 1 is the least page value that we can have. We want to return page.value minus 1, else we just want to return. We don't want to do anything, and we just want to return. Now with this, we're basically done with all of the functionality that we need. So how does this all fit into data fetching? So let me show you what my data fetching looks like. All I'm doing is basically awaiting a API call. All I'm basically doing is awaiting an API call in the component. I'm not putting this inside a function or anything. I'm awaiting it in the component. Now, for my API, it has an offset value. So this offset value is how it knows how many values to skip. So if I do, so if I call for my API the first time and I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I have an offset of 5, then the next time that I call my API, I want it to call from 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the only way I can do this is with that offset value. So I need to create that offset value. So let me just go ahead here and create it. This is also going to be computed, by the way. Const offset equals computed. So it's going to be page.value minus 1 times 10. So let me quickly explain this to you. So why do we have minus 1 here? So the reason we have minus 1 is because when we make our initial request, our page.value would be 1. We need it to be 0 times 10. So 0 times 10 is still 0. So that way our page doesn't, our data isn't offset. We don't have an offset for our data. So we get the first 10 because we have an offset of 0. So the next time our page is 2 and we minus 1, we can have 1 times 10. So our page offset would be 10. So we'll skip the first 10. So the next time our page is 3, we can minus 1 and we can have 2 times 10. Then our page offset would be 20. I hope that makes sense. So all you have to do is just add this to your Nux link, and to create the Nux link is pretty simple. It has to, you can see we have, instead of having just basic forward slash or anything like that, we want to create our query. So we pass it a path, which is the home page. This path can be wherever you want to send it, but for me it is still the home page, and we pass in our query parameter. So our query is the page, and for the previous, we want to pass in the previous page, and for the next one we want to pass the next page. So if I save again and I go back to my project here, let me just try and reload. Let me go back home. It's taking forever to load. I don't know why. So if I save my project here, you can see it has it, and it works perfectly. It works perfectly. Now you might be wondering, why does it only bring 4 and 6 here? Well, I basically just put 4 and 6 there. So this data.pageinfo.page or 1 is coming from my database, and now total pages is of course from the total pages function here. So we're getting the total pages, and instead of using page, this current page from our database as well, you can get it from our page here. We already have a function to get our page here, so you can just do page. Where is it? So you can just do page or one, and if you save, it still works just fine. It still works just